All right, yeah. Thank God for fantasy football. I'm Buster Brown, and the show, it's called Redemption Rehab. And if you tuned in today, it's for one reason, and that's to start winning championships in fantasy football. Here we are on our website, fantasyfootballredemptionrehab.com. When you get a chance, check it out. Today, we're talking about our top tight ends in fantasy football. We're also going to check out some of the sleeper picks we like in the 2020 season, and we're going to give you an opportunity to check out the top rookies at tight end coming into the league in the 2020 NFL season. So buckle up, get out your popcorn, and let's head over to the chalkboard
and check out the facts.
All right, here we are talking about our top tight ends for the 2020 NFL season. I'd like to welcome you and our websites that are going to help us get the job done. One of the websites we'll be focused on your left side of the screen is Fantasy Pros. It's a great tool to help me every year and you to win championships. When you get a chance, check them out. All you got to do is click on the button below and they'll help you. Another website I like to use when it comes to fantasy football is the website on the right, RT Sports. I do a lot of leagues with both of these guys, and you should too. To go to one of these sites, all you got to do, like I said earlier, is click the button below, and we'll send you right over there to see how they can help you. But today, we're talking about our top tight ends. Who are they? Well, let's take a look. As you can see right here on the left is fantasypros.com. This is a PPR league, meaning point per reception rankings on Fantasy Pro. You don't see any tight ends in their top 12. That means in the first round, they're not suggesting a top tight end fits if you're in a 12-man or a 10-man league. But as you can see here, the first tight end on the board is Travis Kelce at number 16, and the second tight end they think you should take in their rankings is George Kittle. You know what? I agree. Why? Come on over here. As you can see, Travis Kelce had 254 points in this column right here. That's the points column. And over here is the receiving touchdowns column right here. So if you go down here, you can see all the touchdowns that each player had. As you can see right here, Mark Andrews had 10 touchdowns. Travis Kelce had 5. That's why these two are ranked 1, 2, as they were last year. Look at the points they got, 254 and 222. What's interesting about this, if you compare the 250 points to what Travis Kelce got, you'll find that it barely makes the top 20 at wide receivers and running backs. That's why I usually don't take a top tier tight end in rounds 2 like they have suggested here. Travis Kelce is the 16th best pick, they're saying, meaning his average draft position will be somewhere in round 2 in a 12-man league. That means in the top 24 picks in your first 2 rounds of your league's draft next year, both of these guys could be gone. Travis Kelce and George Kittle. That's a little too rich for my blood. I just got to be honest with you. I rarely would even consider drafting a tight end until we get to round 3. So as much as I like these guys, I do like them both. Only way I'm drafting them, and I do like them, is if they fall to me in round 3 and I don't have a running back or wide receiver, which are my top 2 priorities, above a tight end. If I don't have one of those guys available, then I'll take a tight end in rounds 3, 4, 5, and 6. That's usually what I do, is I tier these guys, and if I like a tight end and I don't have a running back or wide receiver that I like, then I'll nab a tight end, all before drafting my first quarterback, which I usually wait till after round 7. Let's go take a look at where our number 3 tight end is on Fantasy Pros. Okay, here we are back checking out our top tight ends on Fantasy Pros and RT Sports. As you can see down here, right here, Zach Ertz is their Fantasy Pros 3rd ranked best tight end I agree. Why? Look what he did last year right here. He had 215 points with 6 touchdowns on 88 receptions for 916 yards. That's a pretty good day. He is fighting for time against this guy down here, Dallas Goedert. They both play on the same team, and I like them both. And you can see, how does one team have 2 top tight ends? They didn't have any wide receivers to throw the ball to, so these guys were their main targets. I still like Zach Ertz, but I don't know about taking him where they have him. Let's check it out. Right here is Zach Ertz. They got him going at the end of round 3. That's where I would take George Kittle or Travis Kelce, but because he's splitting time with Dallas Goedert, I can't do it in round 3. Earliest I could take Zach Ertz is round 5, maybe round 6. Why? Because he's splitting time with another tight end who's just as good, and his name is a guy we suggested last year, right here, Dallas Goedert, who also had 5 touchdowns. Zach Ertz up here had 6, and as you can see, I like them both, but I got to get value when it comes to tight end. I can't suggest taking any of these tight ends at the value Fantasy Pros has them going. Fantasy Pros is one of the best tools you can use to help you with your draft, and you should go check them out. And we're just ranking our tight ends. So let's take a look at our number 4, 5, and 6 tight ends and see where they're falling. Okay, here we are checking out tight ends. We've already looked at their top 3 tight ends in George Kittle, Travis Kelce, and Zach Ertz. Now we're getting down to the meat of where I like to draft a tight end. Why? Because I get good value in these rounds. The 4th, 5th, and 6th tight ends that we're going to talk about have a chance of moving up into a top tier tight end next year. And that's where I get my value, and so should you. First tight end we're going to look at is this guy, Mark Andrews of the Baltimore Ravens. Quarterback likes to throw the ball to this guy. Man, did he have a big year. Look over here. He had 10 touchdowns, 64 receptions for 852 yards for Baltimore. Why? He didn't even play every game, and most of the games he was injured, and he still produced to be a top 5 tight end. I think he moves up this list next year, and they've got Mark Andrews going around pick 45. That's in a 12-man league. That's the end of the 4th round, beginning of the 5th round. That's where I'm going to nab this guy. He's in some tough competition with some wide receivers I do like in this area. It's going to be tough for me to pass on Cooper Kupp. I'm going to tell you right here. Oh, man, I like DJ Chark too. That's why it's going to be tough for me to take him there. But if you get the chance, you better start thinking about nabbing Mark Andrews at the end of the 4th round, beginning of the 5th, because he's going to have a big year. Let's take a look at another guy that could have a big year, and that's down here, Austin Hooper. He played last year for the Atlanta Falcons. He's a free agent. We're taping this in March of 2020, so free agency hasn't started yet in the NFL, but a lot of teams are high on this guy. Depending upon where he goes, it's depending upon where I'll draft him. He has to go to a team that likes to throw the ball to the tight end like Atlanta did. Atlanta might not be able to afford this guy because he's going to get some money. It's a big mistake. Atlanta should go after him, but they got their own problems down in Atlanta, and one of them is keeping this guy on their team. Don't think they can, so let's see where he goes, and that depends on where we draft him. As you can see over here, Austin Hooper, who missed several games, scored 6 touchdowns, caught 75 balls. That's pretty good for 787 yards. Had Austin Hooper not missed games at the end of the season, I think you could possibly have seen this guy climb into the top 5. But he did miss some games at the end of the season. He was ineffective. What can you say? Let's take a look at some other tight ends you should know about. Okay, here we are back looking at tight ends. We just talked about this guy up here, Austin Hooper, at tight end number 5 in the Fantasy Pros ranking. We'll check out this guy down here, Darren Waller. He had a big season for Oakland, who's moving to Las Vegas. I do like him. The guy's a catching machine. Let's look at some of his numbers. If you come over here, he finished 3rd among tight ends. Wow, who saw that coming? This guy was a 10th round pick in most fantasy drafts last year. He caught 90 balls for 1,100 yards. That's big time. That's why you should be targeting this guy. 1,100 yards. He only had 3 TDs, but where he made up his points was the 90 receptions and the yardage. So he's valuable in a PPR league, but if you're in a non-PPR league, or what is used to be called a standard league, he loses value because he just doesn't get the tight ends. That could change next year. This kid has been in the league for a while because he's been cut on other teams, but he managed to find a home in Oakland/Las Vegas. You can see right here, they got him going around pick 57, which is the end of the 5th round, beginning in the 6th, and that's a great spot for him, and you should target him in those areas. Let's take a look at someone else we really like. Okay, here we are back looking at some later round tight ends that you should be targeting in your upcoming draft, starting with this guy, Evan Ingram. Man, he was kind of a bust last year. Why? Because he didn't play a lot. He got hurt, but when he plays, he produces. Look where he ended up last year. He ended up down here at number 18. He only had 44 catches for 467 yards and 3 touchdowns over here. He didn't play a lot and he was hurt, but that doesn't mean he's not a good tight end. He is, and the Giants like to throw the ball to the tight end. His backups are pretty decent. Hopefully the Giants don't trade him. His injury history may mean he might be on another team, but he's still a good tight end on the Giants in March of 2020, and he's going up here at pick 73, which is the beginning of round 7. Oh yeah, I'm taking Evan Ingram at the end of round 6 or beginning of round 7. That's great value. But you know who else I like? Is the other 2 tight ends on this page. How about this guy, Hunter Henry? Man, he doesn't have Phillip Rivers throwing him the ball. We don't know who his quarterback is in March of 2020. Right now it's Tyrod Taylor, but let's see what happens. This guy can play ball. He ended up in tight end number 9. He started the year with a bad knee, didn't play in every game, but when he does, he produces. Check it out. He caught 55 balls for 652 yards and 5 touchdowns. He plays the whole season. This guy who's going here at the end of round 7, possibly, I'll tell you what, he's not going to be a round 7 pick. Neither is Evan Ingram next year if they play 16 games. That's why I like him in round 7. Let's check out another guy I really like that you should be targeting in round 8. How this guy falls to round 8, I don't know. But at the end of the season last year, this guy down here, Tyler Higbee of the Los Angeles Rams, was absolutely tearing it up. Look what he did over here. He finished in the top 8. Who saw that coming? He wasn't even drafted in most leagues. He caught 69 balls for 734 yards and 3 TDs. Most of that happened at the end of the season. That's why we really like him next year. And if you can get Tyler Higbee on your team in round 8, good pick. We really like him and you should go after him. Let's take a look at the last tight end we think you should be going after in 2020. Before we look at our sleeper picks, and later on we check out what tight ends from college are coming into the league. Gotta check that stuff out. Okay, here we are back looking at tight ends, and Fantasy Pros has this guy ranked at number 10, and that's Jared Cook. As you can see right now, he over here on RT Sports, he had a pretty decent year, catching 43 balls for 705 yards and 9 touchdowns. Most of that happened at the end of the year after Drew Brees came back from injury. But I gotta tell you, I'm gonna pass. He's going over here at the end of round 8 into round 9. He's been in the league a long time. He's had a decent career, but I'm going to pass. I can't suggest you draft him, and I'd look elsewhere. But I do like these last two guys I'm going to show you. Finish out my top 11, 12 picks before we get to our sleeper picks is this guy. How about down here in Noah Fant? Noah Fant, for a rookie, had a good year. Rookies don't usually do well in the NFL. But you know where they do produce? Is the second year, third year into the league. Noah Fant's going to be a big thing happening in Denver in the next couple years, and you should go after him in your draft. As you can see over here, this is what he did last year. He only had 40 catches for 562 yards and 3 TDs, but for a rookie, that's pretty good. I mean, they have a lot to learn in the NFL. They got to learn how to block, how to be a professional, how to catch the ball. I mean, they're getting nailed by linebackers. This guy got nailed a lot. but he kept coming back every week and played through some injuries. So we do like Noah Fant. If you get a chance to draft a tight end earlier and then add Noah Fant later in your draft, because he's going here in round 10. I mean, they got Noah Fant as the 103rd best player, which is the beginning of round 10. I could see taking that guy. Not so sure about him being my first tight end, but maybe as my backup. And the other guy I really like is Dallas Goedert down here. He's also going around round 10. If you could maybe get these two guys on your team, you're taking a high risk by doing it because they both produced around that top 10, top 15. But neither one of these guys is going in round 10 next year because they're both going to produce. So I do like them, and I suggest you draft one of them as a backup or both of them together and use them all year. Well, there you have it. Those are my top tight ends. These are the guys I'm suggesting you target heading into the 2020 NFL fantasy season. If you get a chance, make sure you check out some of these websites I mentioned, like Fantasy Pros, RT Sports, or our website, fantasyfootballredemptionrehab.com, because that's the only place you're going to get a chance to see my sleeper picks and the rookie tight ends coming into the league. I'm Buster Brown. The show's Redemption Rehab. Good luck.